All right, let's do that. Let's open up the chat. Hello to the 3 people that are watching. I'm your host, Mr. Rourke, and welcome to Fantasy Island. It's not so much Fantasy Island as, well, I guess I don't know what it is. It's been an interesting week. I'm going to have some cold pizza because I believe in being health conscious. It's an emotional support cold pizza. That's what we're going with. Sure. What do we have that we're going to talk about? It's been a little bit. And I figured I'd give you some updates on maybe some of the things behind me. Like, oh, these guys over here, look at that. There's one person watching. Man, you're lucky. What a lucky one person you are. So I think, let's, I wasn't planning on showing this, but this is a very old build by your pal Sully. This is the 6th guitar I completed. And shouldn't you have done that before? Well, I should do a lot of things before doing this, like prepare. That's right, I put Spurzels on this. I'm not crazy about Spurzels. What I learned about this was why I'm not crazy about Spurzels. Actually, any of the tuners that that have the pins that need, like the locator pins. I don't like those because it's just 12 more holes you got to drill. And I know there are jigs. And I know that if I didn't use those kinds of, I've at least got to drill 6, but I'd rather drill 6 than 12. Is more? Maybe not always. Anyway, yeah. This is spalted. It's got a spalted maple top. I remember I painted the. So here's a fun thing. This little contour here. Can't really. Can we see it? Can we see it? There we go. Wait, there it is. This little contour. I did this with a Dremel. So I had this. I did this with a Dremel and the little sanding drum that comes on a Dremel. That goes in a Dremel. It's a little tiny, I don't know, it's probably about 1/2 inch. And I remember in 2004, 2004, I was sitting on the patio, the balcony of my apartment, just making this contour with this Dremel sanding wheel. There it is. You can see it there. Very, very, very vivid memories of that. Yeah, it's a fun little bit of history. Yeah, how about that? Oh yeah. Hey, there's 2 people. My God, there's 4 people. There's 4 people watching right now. 4 people watching. So, yeah, that guitar came available, and I don't have an emotional connection to it. I mean, I do from like, oh wow, just like I shared. I remember sitting on the balcony, just making that contour. Also, in the first garage before the Sully's Guitar Garage videos, the garage, the 1-car garage in my apartment, I painted that. I was doing some. I think I've told this story before about how I was kind of not forced to learn how to paint guitars, but at that time. I didn't have any other option. There were a couple of guys, nice guys, who were had an auto paint business, and they liked guitars, and it was one of those things where they agreed to do some paint work for me. And again, this is 2004. Yeah, 2004. And so I would go out to their shop when they were working on stuff for me. And I learned things like, taping off binding, and how that doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Oh, you just put tape on it. Yes. And there was this latex tape, pinstripers tape. Stuff's really great for masking things off, especially, binding. But I learned that, when I would tape the stuff off, I'd stretch it really tight and really tight. But then I learned that latex binding wants, much like stainless steel frets, it wants to creep back to where it was. So like if you stretch it too tight, don't. So anyway, things, I learned some things. And I used to watch, sorry, I was planning on keeping that one. I used to watch them, do the work so I could kind of, see how that stuff is done. And there was a point, I was always asking them, like, you got to kind of tighten this part up here, whatever. And they got to the point where they were like, look, we're spending way too much time on this stuff. We can't do this anymore. I'm like, totally get it. Can you at least finish what we've got in process? And I said, no. So that was one of those guitars that was in process. So I knew, I learned where they got paint because I would go with them. Or maybe I just remembered the name of it. The name of the place was called English Color. And I remember I went and I bought some spray guns. I got an air compressor, because I've got these guitars to finish. And I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? I'm like, well, you're going to paint. And, again, thankfully, I had enough. I had done some paint work, some DIY rattle can stuff previously. So it wasn't completely foreign to me, but, I bought all the stuff, and I remember going into English Color and I need some black paint. Well, which black? Here's a big book of paint chips. You tell us the black that you want. And I'm like, okay. And, you look through all these paint chips, and then of course you're seeing all these other colors. I'm like, oh, that would make a dope color, but like, stay focused. We're working on this right now. And so, yeah, so this was one of the guitars that, and then I learned, spalted maple. Boy, does that suck up clear coat. Boy, does that suck up clear coat. Does it ever? So anyway, that's my cool story. So, got that, and that's neat. I probably haven't seen it for maybe 8, 9, 10 years. I don't know. I could tell that it had been refretted since I finished it. So I guess, it got some use. And I could tell that it was refretted because it's got tangs, and it didn't before, like visible tangs on the side. And then the serial number was gone. And, I stamped those at the end of the fretboard. And usually when something is refretted, usually there's some cleaning, preparation of the fretboard surface that's done. So it was lost to that. So I restamped it, which is, thankfully I had just a few photos of it, but I did take one of the fretboard serial, so I could kind of, restore my own thing. So that was cool. Yeah, but so that's that. We had the most recent batch of Conspiracy Series guitars show up. These two guys, these two models are behind me, and I will talk about that momentarily. Oh, hey, Paul. Paul says that Stardust on the couch feels so familiar. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Michael, hope you are doing well. I'm doing all right. Do I cut my inlays using a laser, a CNC, or both? Well, two different processes, two different things. So if we're talking about the inlay pieces that go in the fretboard, those we laser. The pockets that the pieces go in on, the pockets on the fretboard, those are done on the CNC. Nothing more satisfying than seeing a tape pull on your build. Yeah, it's that's always a fun one. Morning at work, won't be long. You won't be long at work? I hope that's true. Or you won't be long here. You probably won't be long here is what he's trying to say. Fretboard cereal. Oh, fretboard cereal. Depending on the fretboard, like roasted maple, you could have some breakfast vibes there. It smells like maple syrup. You don't want the roasted purple heart, which is called royal blackwood, when no one else would. You wouldn't want that because, let me tell you, those things, the splinters, you do not want those. I had to dig one real. I had a really nasty one go like it was a big splinter. It was, it was in the machining, the fretboard machining process, and the radius was done, and I was going to just wipe some dust off, I guess, for whatever reason, and just a whole bunch just went like right into my hand, like big nasty. Like I pulled it off and the rest of it broke off, and like it was deep. And so I was at first kind of going in after it with a razor, and I can't get it, and then I just grabbed this like safety pin and I'm just digging this thing out of my hand. Cool story. Let's see. Yeah, so the Conspiracy Series guitars that I have right here, they came out really nice, which is good. That's what we're going for. Let me show you. So we got the 624T, super sparkly. This came out great. It's got pale moon ebony fretboard. It's got spoke wheel truss rod adjuster, blade 1500, volume switch. Don't worry, you can still push, pull, and coil split. Match that headstock. Now I'm gonna share something with you. When we've used pale moon ebony a fair amount. It is quite a neat looking wood. It is it's pretty high maintenance. I'm not gonna lie. I will say that from my experience in using this stuff over the last these many years, next with pale moon fretboards tend to require a little bit more regular adjustments to the truss rod than other materials. I don't know why. It's just been one of those things, and it can be a little on the self-destructive side. So why are you using this? It looks great, and once it's dry, and once it's dry, you're good, and we're good. But it does want to split and crack, and I mean, quite frankly, so does ebony. The other more standard ebonies that you see. But yeah, so I've been just giving it plenty of fretboard conditioner. Go back, do some more. Go back, do some more. Just really let it kind of, make sure it's good and hydrated. So this thing is dope. Roasted maple neck, you know, nice sculpty neck joint. It's got the crotch notch. Pretty cool. This is these are definitely the fanciest conspiracy series guitars that we've done, which is fine. When my initial plan for the run is we got to figure out, and when I started doing the conspiracy series in general, it was you gotta take your essence, but you kind of have to strip it down a little bit, because you don't want to kind of compete with the custom stuff. And I've kind of softened on that a little bit. I mean, if you look at how the conspiracy series has progressed over the years, I think you can see it. But yeah, it turns out that the factory had pale moon ebony, and we both laughed at what a pain in the ass it is to work with, and we decided that we would do that, and we probably will in the future as long as supplies are there. Now, one of the things when I was speccing this out was the logo color is normally I would probably go black, but I need this to stand out. So we went white. Cool, right? Really, really great. I'm really just revealing just some real important stuff. But yeah, so black binding, super clean. I mean, it's well done. Nice work. I dig them. I dig them. I like them. $14.99 comes with a hard shell case. I mean, it's not free. I mean, that's $14.99 is still $14.99. But when I am looking out there at what's available, it's a pretty good deal for what it is. I think that's what people tell me. Because it was up to me, like everything would be like $8. But it's not really workable. So anyway, yeah. So 624T. I did mention you can still split the coils. Yeah. So that's cool. I'm really happy with how these came out. Ooh, it's a big truck outside. And then let me show you this little guy. You know what? Let's go back a little further, shall we? Sure. Stardust Deluxe #1. This is an ebony top, ebony fretboard, ebony head plate. Yep, ebony truss rod cover, mahogany back, and with the Stardust, I've said this a lot. Part of the plan was to kind of reach out to folks of offset guitars without having to make a jazz master, because I don't like them. And so we took a 71 and flipped it around and did stuff with it, and landed on a Stardust. Wanted to have a pick guard, wanted to have kind of like a retro futuristic kind of Jetsons-y kind of vibe to it. And so, that's what happened. And one of the things that, I like to do from time to time is make, nice stuff, what a lot of people refer to as furniture guitars, things of figured wood and fine Corinthian leather, that sort of thing. And it never really fails that like whenever I wind up, like I'll get like some really cool flamed koa, or like rosewood that I could make necks out of. And, you know, the there's a couple of ravens that have rosewood necks, and you know, like in the Koa top raven. Oh my god, that thing was fucking incredible. It was a Nam guitar. Lives with our pal Brett. It is the loudest. It is the most acoustically loud guitar I have ever made. The thing just rings, and you know, when it turns out that like whenever I try and do a fancy like, oh, what is this? It's a little bunny furniture guitar. I'm like, this thing's gorgeous. This is someone's gonna buy this right away. Fucking crickets. But anyway, I still wanted to have like a fancy version of a Stardust. I didn't really know what I wanted that to look like because of the pickguard. I think, you know, we've done some Stardusts without pickguards and they look fine. Turns out that model is pretty versatile, which is cool. But at the time, you know, I felt that it needed to have a pickguard. And I don't really like putting pickguards on figured tops. So I kicked that idea around for a while. And then I'm like, well, what if we have some sort of, you know, I don't know, a hint of that, something, a hint of the pickguard, a suggestion of the pickguard, but it's inlaid. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we can do that. Figured that binding would be easiest because, you know, we'll have binding on the outside, might as well use the same material. And so that's where the Stardust Deluxe happened. And it was one of those things where one of my suppliers had some ebony tops. You don't see that very often. And whenever I see that, you know, I try and grab one. Like I've had this, I've got this, God, I can't believe that this wasn't made into fretboards, quite frankly, but I've got this top. It's like 5/16 thick. This ebony top that's like, it's glued up for a V. So I'll make an ebony topped Revolution, but this is going to be like one of those things I fear is, you know, because I wanted to do the same thing as like this, do a black, an ebony top, an ebony fretboard, ebony head plate, and, you know, just make a really pretty, but, you know, I mean, it still looks cool, right? I mean, it's like it's black, but there's no paint on it. But so we landed here, and I thought, and then so this inlay, the geometric inlay, was something that I was inspired by while at the Dallas Museum of Art years ago, because I'm fancy, and I thought it would be cool. And at the time, for whatever reason, I have it going the other way. I have it going this way instead of straight up. And quite frankly, I think having it go this way is probably an easier way to identify where the 12th fret is. Because usually when it goes this way, it's a little bit taller, and it usually spans like 10 to 13. But you know, whatever. And so with the Stardust Deluxe, it was things where it's like, we'll make them as I see fit. I don't want to make them something that people can order, because I had the feeling that I was going to have to explain, because like the thing with doing this with the inlaid top is, if we do a figure top, we're not, because that would be a scraping nightmare, and I just can't do that to someone. And what I mean by that is, let's say that this was a maple top and we wanted to do, you know, just a amber tint or whatever. Hi, amber tint. Nice to meet you. We'd have to scrape the amber tint off of this little thing that's a 1/16 of an inch wide, and you know, I can't do it, you know, because you're gonna hit the color and then it's gonna come up. And, oh, can't you just like mask this off? You could, but you're not going to be on it perfectly. So the whole thing no color. And I didn't want to necessarily, like, if I make this available for people to order, I didn't necessarily want to have a conversation all the time. But so it was one of those things where it's like, we'll make them available as I make them. And, that has changed a little bit over the years. I generally tend to be more flexible for like repeat custom clients. And so, we'll see some more. And one of the things that I wanted to do at some point was do some sort of, little F hole kind of thing. But I'm not going to put an F on it because, I mean, that would look dumb. It would just look dumb. I had a pattern that was kind of based on like an A. And so I joked, oh, that's just going to be the A-hole. That's something that I drew up like 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll probably use this on something at some point. And so in 2020, I think early 2020, I had the idea. I had some Wenge top. I had a Wenge top, and then I had Flame Shedua, which looked like walnut koa. That particular top did. And I thought, well, I've got, the machine is here. We're incorporating it in more and more. And, so I got the machine in like summer of 2019. And I thought, what, now is the time to do it. Let's make two. So I did. Paul, who was watching, I don't know if he still is. I hope so. Paul had reached out via email asking about a conspiracy series Stardust, like if I had any in stock or maybe on pre-order. I don't remember exactly, but it was one of those things where it was like, I don't. However, if you're interested in this, I have this in mind and I'll give you a deal on it. Won't cost the same as a conspiracy series model, but be less than, what it would be. And so he's like, yeah. Oh, and Paul is watching. Cool. Paul is watching. Hi, Mike. I'm actually Mulder. Scully is not here. I'm just kidding. Autocorrect is a thing. Loving the talking through your mental process. Oh, thanks. It's a scary place inside my head. It is a very scary place inside my head, but we will, everybody says that, but like seriously. So then I got to work on these two guitars for Paul, one for Paul. And then, I don't remember how the other one came about. Maybe I just had, it was a client in Australia named Wayne who had the Shedua top one. And we'll talk more about that another time. But, so I got to work and it was cool. We made the thing and it was good. So when the time, I've had, we've made a few more with the, I call it a WTF hole because I didn't use the A. It's clearly not an F. I couldn't think of something else, so we went with WTF. Now this isn't, while there's a little chamber open spot here, like this whole thing like isn't open. Like this little spot, it's really just about this big. For now, we can do fully chambered models and stuff. I don't mind doing that. But when we were putting together some ideas for this particular run, you know what? Why not? Let's fucking do it. If the factory is willing, because the thing that I didn't want to have happen was like the inlaid binding. I didn't really expect a yes, we'll do it. And because the other thing too that you got to be careful of is, why do I say like like all the time? It is so irritating. I can only imagine what this is like for you. That said, this is not a solid. It's not a solid walnut top, because at this particular price point, it's just not really what happens. However, so it's we've got a Carina body or white limba for those of you playing along at home, and then it's got a maple top, and then it's got this flamed English walnut veneer, which is quite nice. Honestly, a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. And well, I mean, I saw some pictures, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. And then we've got it a matching headstock. This came out so great. It's one of the more involved guitars that we've done in the Conspiracy series. I know Concords are pretty involved, just because the Radius top, and Revolutions because of the same reason. But one of the things, like, I felt bad about is, since I know this is a veneer, veneers are not the thickest things in the world, and we've got to scrape this stuff down. I was fearful that fuck, we were gonna wind up hitting the veneer, but anyway, all of my fears were for naught, which is good. But I saw this thing, is a meme or whatever, that was basically 95% of the things that I worry about don't happen, which proves that worrying works. I think that's a really nice output thought. I don't know. All right, sing Every Rose Has a Thorn. Ready? I can't hear you. Ow. Oh, that hurt. All right. Locked up on me. This thing, I'm really happy with how this came out. It's cool. It's really cool. It's got a little tint on the back. We were going back and forth with leaving it natural. But I think that we made the right call in keeping it a warmer, dark tone that I think goes nicely with the roasted maple neck. So quite a surprise. I mean, I'm not shocked that it came out well, but it is one of those things that it came out better than I imagined. And it's neat to go from this to this. I think it's kind of neat. And again, this is like $14.99. I know that's not $5.99. I can't do that. There's even if they were made in China, which I don't want to do. I am. You guys are nice enough to follow me. I am a tiny, tiny, microscopic company, and I don't have the buying power to do all of these sorts of things and to negotiate great pricing and that sort of stuff. By far, not at all, because these guitars get more and more. They always go up every year, and I know that when I started doing the Conspiracy series, they were a little bit less. No one is getting rich off of these things. No one. It's like someday I hope to make minimum wage. Anyway, enough on that. Brett, the Stardust is. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you to say, and thank you for your support. I hope that you guys are doing great, and I hope that your son is enjoying his Concorde, and I hope that you are enjoying your Raven and 71 Trella. I think your head's hearing us sing every. I don't think so. I think, see, now I would offer this to you. A collective group of, well, 17 people on the internet joining together, singing along with some idiot online. I mean, you could say that's not a great use of time. I think it would be lovely. A shared moment of fun, mirth, joy. I don't care if it's pitchy. Everybody. Oh, well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Let's see. I don't think I have any other questions. So here's the thing with this. So all of these are sold out. I don't have any extras. I do have a few extras of these, and I will go through what's left of the QC process and get them wrapped up this week and and shipped, and then the extras I'll make available. This one's number 12. I was like, I don't necessarily, there are certain numbers that I like. 6 is my lucky number, I guess, if you have one. There's like some families have like a junior or like a third. I'm the 6th, and so number 6 is a number for me, and 12 as well. Because when I was a kid, I used to really like Roger Staubach, which was weird because I'm not from Dallas. But at that time in the 70s, I think that's where the whole, like, the Cowboys are America's team and all that stuff. And what's funny now is, like, I don't wish the Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I want them to do well, but I don't watch the games. So what are you going to do? But anyway, so this one's number 12, and there's a part of me I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. But no, I need to sell guitars. That's the thing. I don't need to collect them. I can always make one and put whatever number I want on it, right? Right. So maybe I'll, someone wants to buy number 12. I'll like write, my name is Roger on the back. I won't do that. I mean, unless you tell me to. Michael. Yeah, man. We will, yours should be, I expect to have yours good to go Monday or Tuesday. Winging its way off to you. Yeah. So I'm very happy with how these came out, as you may have surmised. We do have a pre-order batch going on right now. Different guitars, because haven't really repeated models much in conspiracy series runs, because part of it is like, I'm trying to figure out what you guys want to buy, and then I can make more of them. One thing that always blows my mind is, like, I can't sell a black guitar to save my life, which makes no sense because black guitars are amazing. Black always looks cool. Like, it just does. I remember when we did the Alitas, and does that run 3, maybe 2 or 3? I don't remember. It's on the website. Oh, speaking of which, the website's all new. Go look at it. SullyGuitars.com. We did a black Alita with a Floyd, and oh my goodness, they were so cool looking, and that was like the least popular. There were the fewest amounts of that color, which absolute head scratcher. Trying to figure you guys out. Can't do it. I need to do it. I really need to. There's a. Have you ever heard the phrase "running out of road" here? Oh, there's a squirrel. There seriously was a squirrel running on the fence, and we get a lot of bunnies and squirrels, like I imagine you do as well, near your house. And so we name them all the time, and I like to come up. But the rabbits I usually kind of give food names to, like, oh, that's popcorn, that's butterscotch, that's cornucopia, but then that's peppercorn. Capricorn. There's also been Dave, Kenny, Steve, Jeff, Celine, Victoria Carter, vice president of marketing. You get the point. But as far as the squirrels go, we call him Sherb, because one day we had a squirrel on the fence, and Mrs. Sully said, "Oh, his name is Sherbet." And like, that's just a cute name for a squirrel. I'm Sherbet, and you shorten that to Sherb. So I just saw Sherb. Yeah. So this next batch, this current batch of pre-orders, we've got a 624. So it's a 624T, because it's the little roundy bit up top. Here comes Sherb. And 624, super strat style. So basically this same kind of neck, but it's black limba, and it'll have a black burst. And we've got a 71 trella. And we moved. We're. Someone's knocking at the door. Did somebody ring my doorbell? Someone rang. Doesn't matter. We've got an Elita, a 24 fret Elita, and that is in Guitar Bee Sparkle, which is like a hot pink sparkle, and those should be here in the summer. Trying to figure out what the next run is going to be. I think I want to do another like Pale Moon Ebony neck head kind of thing, but I want to do a revolution. But I want to do like a black revolution. And maybe a black supernova. But like, I need you guys to buy some black guitars because they look so good. I know that they're fingerprint magnets, and I know that if I, wish this into, if I manifest this into reality, like, I'm going to regret it, because black guitars, like, they're dust and scratch magnets, just any little thing. So I'm going to be buffing things out like a crazy person, but like, oh, they look so good. Any thoughts about baritone models, extended scale, or even 7 strings? Well, FCY Mac Attack. I'm just going to call you Mac. Say, Mac. We make baritones. One of our lovely clients, who might still be watching, Sean, is primarily, if it's not 27 scale, he doesn't want it. You know what he does? He sees guitars that are shorter than 27 scale. He gives them the finger. Just a little guitar, like, just minding its own business. Sean looks at it and he's like, "Hey, what's your scale?" And I'd be like, 25 and a half, sir. That's what he does. I've seen it. It's really weird, but that's okay. He buys guitars, so we'll allow it. We make we don't make a lot of baritones. We make them to order. We tried it in the Conspiracy series. For me, with going with like thought processes, if you've got a long scaled guitar, one of the things that I want to work around is neck dive. I would like to, avoid that. And, you move the neck in, you pull the bridge back. Obviously you have to because of the scale. And, but still there's a little bit of you gotta work around with it. So one of the things that I thought would be a good idea, same thing for 7s, is to offer them on our larger bodied guitars, like a Raven or an Elita. And another reason that I thought that would be a cool idea is because a lot of the companies that make baritones, at least the larger companies that make baritones, they're making super strats. And we make super strats too, but I don't consider them like our core model. Core models, rather. So we did some Elitas in the Conspiracy series, 27 scale, black limba. like a trans dark blue or shipwreck color, and they looked super dope. But it wasn't, it was one of those things where I missed the mark. These things in the conspiracy series, they're based on pre-orders. Ooh, that's another thing. Maybe we'll put that. Yeah, we'll put this out in the mailing list soon. Mrs. Sully's going to Pilates. I love drinking those. So we don't really do them in batches in the conspiracy series. Maybe you can read between lines. Yeah, same thing with sevens, but like, I'm sorry, this is a way longer answer than it should have been. But baritones, we made baritone Stardust, baritone 624 that I need to do the paint on. Yeah, Sean, I'm going to do that for you. What else? I've made you a baritone Raven. There's a baritone Raven available right now. The very first one, which was like a test guitar for Sean's baritone Raven. It is candy apple red nitro light relic. It looks so fucking cool. It is available from our dealer in Colorado called Sinister Hand Guitars. He's got it. It's definitely under $3. So like that's available like right now. That thing is so cool. It's really cool. Except for like, but then it's so easy. Well, it's red. I'm trying. So 7 strings. We've done some 7-string Ravens in the conspiracy series. I don't think I'm gonna really offer them in runs unless it's something that, unless I finally like hit the mark. So we do make them to order. But I would encourage you and all of you watching to get on our mailing list, because there is something in the conspiracy series that we are starting to do. But I need, if anybody would like to be like, I don't want to say guinea pigs, but like early adopters, you will get better pricing. So get on the mailing list. So that's my cool story. I hope extended scale. Okay, yeah. So I've done all that. Yeah, I'm making a 7-string Concord right now for my buddy Adam at Elysian Pickups. So I'm happy to make them. It's just I've got a 7-string 624 624T that is in the process now. That is a model that I'm going to have to convert to 7. So it's going to require a little bit of R&D, but that's fun. So yeah, we will absolutely do it. Yes, Sean. Hail Satin. Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that. See, now this is the kind of behavior that I want to reward here. He's hailing satin. He's hailing baritones. He's hailing a taxi. Yeah, and anything with that name in it. What is the inspiration for the Trella name? I'm glad you asked. So let me get one. Yeah, I've got houndstooth jammy pants. Jealous. So this is one of my personal ones. So the whole thing, and I've created some confusion with this because people will see this and say, "Oh, that's a Trella." And while yes, it is, the model is a 71. Why is that a 71? Because it's the year I was born. And since there's a demographic that beats it over the year 1959, we went with 71. And there are different versions of a 71. So kind of like with cars, there's maybe like an RS, there's an SS, there's a GT, but it's all like a, the model. You've got the model, and then you've got like the identifiers of like the trim line, I guess you could say. So we made the first Trella. I want to say it was completed in 2016. maybe end of 2015. I'm not 100% certain right now, but that's okay. And I needed to have, I wanted to have some sort of identifier for the carved top version, because there is a flat top version that has like a forearm bevel, and so I needed a specific name for it. And in November of 2014, my mother-in-law, Mrs. Sully's mom, passed away, and a shortening of her name is Trella, and she was great. She was just great. We had a shorthand with one another, like immediately. And like it's funny, when I met Mrs. Sully, we were both working at Starbucks, and so this was maybe around like November, around Thanksgiving time of 2002, and her parents were in town visiting her from Tennessee, and Mrs. Sully and I weren't dating or anything, but I was working on it. And they would come in to the store all the time, and I would be, I'd say, "Hello, gorgeous," and then I'd be like, "Hello, Sarah." That's Mrs. Sully's name, so trying to, being flirty with the mom, but not gross, But anyway, so we had this shorthand. She was very quick-witted, really funny, but subtle about it. She was a very, if I say Southern, I know that gives certain connotations, like redneck, cousin marrying. That's not what I'm talking about. She was just great. She was studied music. I think she played the saxophone. She played the piano. She sang. And she just loved music and art and all of that stuff. And she was just fucking great. And unfortunately, dementia, and she had it for a few years, and she passed away in November 2014. So I thought that it would be a nice way to honor her. And so that's what I did. I am, I often joke, it's nice because like Trella, it isn't, it's fortunate that like her name wasn't Barbara. There's nothing wrong with being named Barbara, but it wouldn't work as a guitar name, and so yeah, one of the things that's where that comes from. One of the things that I love about it is that while, like I said earlier, people will see this and go, "Oh, it's a Trella," and like it is, but I like that it's become a thing. It almost kind of became the mod, and that makes me happy. One of the things that I remember times they came to visit us on the holidays, we watched Jeff Beck live at Ronnie Scott's, and great show if you haven't seen it. But I remember, we were watching it, and when it was done, I remember my father-in-law, who was also great. Jack is awesome, and he was involved with the space program, and like he's got some really cool stories about all of that in the moon landings and stuff. And but Jack's but I didn't really like a lot of like the distorted guitar sounds, and Trella's like, "Oh, I did." And I'm like, a girl, but anyway, another cool point in that Ronnie Scott's thing is when Jeff just wipes the fucking floor with Eric Clapton when they play "You Need Love," because like I understand that maybe nobody else was around, or not as many people were around at the time when the whole Clapton is God thing happened, and maybe it's me. Maybe I wasn't around then and I don't have an appreciation of it. But I've always found his playing to leave me wanting for something a little bit more exciting. Anyway, that's the story behind that. Landon, hey, happy birthday, man. I like to say happy birthday to people in situations like when it's their birthday, of course, but like especially if it's not their birthday, and like if you're in like a group of people and you walk in like, oh dude, happy birthday, and then it's like, oh my god, it's your birthday, and you're like, no, but it's fun. Let's see. Love my shipwreck. Conspiracy theories, baritone, and Leo. Yeah, that's how I got Sean. Red is the only reason I haven't bought it. Ooh, but it's candy red. It's very vibrant in person. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's totally fine. I don't get into any kind of tonal discussions. That's, we all hear different stuff. I am always been more of a big picture person. Like, yes, this thing sounds good. Versus, I think something is pushing in the whatever range. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not that. I don't have those ears, so it's good for me to like know people that do. But I don't sweat that stuff, because like the other thing too is like our ears are different. Especially as we get older. And why isn't everything so muffled? Those Stardust came out amazing. Thank you. We will have a couple left, and you should get one. Please consider doing so. $14.99. They'll be on the website soon. That thing is fabulous. Thank you, Ron. You're fabulous. September 29th. I'm not going to say it's the best day in the world, but it's a pretty good one. John and I know that. We're birthday twins. What else? I think that's it. We're going to wind down in about a minute and a half. So I'm going to take I'm going to take this to go get plecked, because that's for our pal Chris. And Chris asked to have his guitar plecked. And I'm the kind of guy that likes to make Chris happy. So Chris, this is your 624T. I'm going to take this off to what I call the dentist's office, and it's going to get its teeth done. And this one I just brought home just to show you. Yeah. That's that. I think we're probably going to have a sale probably like later in March, because I'm going to have to move shop soon, and I really want to get rid of as much of the in-stock custom stuff as possible. So look for that. And like we've got like some bodies and necks that can be made into a complete guitar that don't have any owners. So I know there's a Stardust in particular that I think I'm going to have painted gold. That'll be dope. But anyway, so that's that. I hope that you have a nice day. And I hope that everyone is nice to you. And I hope that, I hope nothing but good things for you, unless you're a jerk. And then but if you're a jerk, you're not going to watch this. So you're all really nice people. So have a great day, and we'll talk again next time.